All right. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see you. Sue, I love your picture. Super
Thanks.
sweet. Very nice. You know, I still like from Zoom school era of COVID, I still have my son's picture when I get on by phone. One of these days I'll have to take it off, but he owned my Zoom for a while. Hi, Greg. Hi, Earl. Good to see you. Good. So we have Stacy saying she's reading the virtual engagement book, which is the one we shared from Chad Littlefield. One second, Chris. And some people received it after this big national meeting. So good. Great. Well, we do have an opening question to get people thinking. So I'm going to go ahead and share that. I know it's APR season. It's not the greatest timing. I apologize. But this is when we have our directors webinars, and we will have it available, the recording of this, for folks who aren't able to be on today. And we're pretty excited about our speaker, so I'm going to be disseminating it broadly. All right, so question of the day, as we start preparing to be in person for the first time in a while, what are you most excited about for the OSEP Project Directors Conference? So what are you most looking forward to about the OSEP Project Directors Conference? I'll put that in the chat. Welcome, everybody. As you come in, I have a question for you all. Hi, Kim St. Martin.
Jennifer Coffey, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Hi, Jason. So what are folks most excited about being in person at the OSEP Project Directors Conference? Collaboration with other states, learning from people's work, meeting colleagues face to face, especially for those folks who are new-ish, having longer conversations. Good. Yeah, networking. Yeah, yesterday I was in a meeting, and the question was, what do you want to do more of? And I was the only person who said socializing. I was surprised.
Okay. Were you with the Spidig people? I mean, like
I was with it was OSEP. It was
okay.
internal. No one else said socializing. So whatever that means. All right. So I'm gonna start getting us going here because, as I said, I'm very excited to introduce you all to Dr. Janine Blue, our speaker for today. And so I really am not interested in talking for too long because I want to hear it too. All right. So our high level agenda, breakouts ahead. I always like to give people that warning so that they can do whatever they need to do to get ready for that, and having conversations on camera. But I'll talk about some news and events, OSEP Project Directors Leadership Conference, which just foreshadowed a little bit about APRs being due tomorrow, not much. Then we get to learn from and with Dr. Janine Blue, and we'll talk a little bit about concrete communications and any of the time we have left. We're really focusing more on the coaching conversation today. All right, SIG Network News, as I said, the OSEP Project Directors Conference in person, July 24th to 26th. If you haven't already booked your lodging, please do so. They've found a new hotel for the overflow, people who couldn't get a room before. But if you have trouble with that, let me know, and I'll make sure you connect directly with AIR, our conference logistics folks. Spidig National Meeting, Kelsey is hard at work finding us a place since our old conference space is no longer available. I went to visit a possibility. It was great. It's right on the water. It's all glass. It's actually the DC headquarters for their water. So it's called HQO, like headquarters. Yeah, kind of cute. It'll be interesting, I think, if we have it there, and fun. But fun fact, my family, especially during COVID, we did a lot of paddle boarding. and we did a lot of paddleboarding on the Anacostia River. If you know DC at all, you'll know that it's actually illegal to go in that water because it's not entirely clean. But anyways, we did paddleboarding, and so I was visiting, and I said, "Oh, we used to always paddleboard when this place was being built." And she goes, "You guys are the ones." So we were noticed. APRs are due tomorrow, and I hope everything is going well. Let us know if we can help, we being OSAP. And then Expect, Engage, Empower is all about preparing kids with disabilities for college and career, secondary transition, but thinking about the entire lifespan and how we can have high expectations and engage families and all the folks who are critical to the child's well-being and success, and empowering all those critical folks. So please do register for the kickoff for that, and that is an OSEP initiative. SIG Network Roadmap, I always like to remind you, we have shorthand available for you for your communications, for your websites, to organize things that you want to disseminate. And Kelsey is here to help you. We also have a license where we get editorial help for you. We have mentors for evaluators, project staff, whoever you are, we have a mentor for you. So if you haven't already signed up, let us know. The May SIG Network newsletter, we have a SPDIG Success. I have started having an introductory letter to that as a result of what we heard from, I want to call her Ann Hand. It's not Ann Handley at the SPDIG National Meeting. We are in the midst of our coaching series. We're deep in that, and our communication series as well from the Success Principles, where I talked about those two. We have many learning communities already going on. So if you have a need, let us know, and we can probably plug you into a learning community to help you with that. The website will be transitioning to a new platform. And so also if you have comments on what you'd like to see in a website, what you'd like changed, Kelsey and I are open to that. In June, we'll be hearing from or working with Melanie Upright. She had a presentation at SPDIG National Meeting. People loved it. So we invited her back, and she's going to get into teaming and coaching and communications. So I think we'll probably have her tie Credible up with that as our communication strategy we'll be talking about. So the questions we had you consider in the time between our last Structures webinars now is how you create a good match in coaching relationships, and how do you help healthy coaching partnerships form. And so hopefully you've been thinking about that. If you want to add your thoughts into the chat, that would be fantastic. We'd love to know some of your ideas, and I'm sure others can use them. And today we have a very special guest. TNTP used to be called the New Teacher Project. It's now just called TNTP. And we've had them come and speak to us about different resources that they've published and different work they're doing over time. And when I was looking through to see what was going on at TNTP, I saw some work from Dr. Janine Blue, and I reached out to her, and luckily she is doing a lot of work around coaching, and that was our series. And so it made sense to invite her to speak with us today. And I am very pleased she said yes. And funny coincidence, you'll see something that she's going to have you engage in right away. And it was just a coincidence. I'm just going to tell you right now, you're going to see it. You're going to say, that's weird. And it was a coincidence, but you can be on the lookout for what that was. So I will turn things over to you, Dr. Blue.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. And hello, everyone. I'm very excited to speak with you. I'm very grateful for Jennifer just reaching out and asking me if I would come and share some of the research that I've done and that I've dug into around instructional coaching. I'm going to share my screen with you, and hopefully this works.
It looks perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no
Thank
problem.
you so much. All right, so as she said, I am Janine Blue, and I am currently an analytics director at TNTP, where I lead our research agenda around organizational learning, and helping to position our organization to learn from the research and the work that we're doing in the field and being able to speak to our impact. Part of the work that I've been doing with instructional coaching is pretty much trying to do the research that helps to inform the practices that we do, because part of our work is instructional coaching. We coach teachers, we coach leaders, and my job is to help the organization connect that research to the practice. And I also work as a research and evaluation consultant. So I support other service sector organizations and leaders build knowledge through strategic research. So I call this type of research where we're doing the research in order to improve practice, the strategic research and learning, continuous improvement and evaluation. So again, I'm very excited to speak with you today to share this research. I started off around 20 plus years ago as a science teacher at high school and middle school, and transitioned into an instructional coach position. So I worked in DeKalb County schools in Georgia as a teacher and an instructional leader, and then made my way over a long period of time, into the research and evaluation field. So I'm here now, excited to speak with you all. After we do introductions in our icebreaker in breakout rooms, we'll be digging into some of the research. So I will be reviewing the research base on instructional coaching. It'll be just a brief summary, because like the research on instructional coaching is over 3 decades long and it continues to grow. So we'll just talk about what we know so far about the impacts of instructional coaching on teachers and students. And we'll also talk a little bit about what we don't know, like what we haven't learned so far and where the research is headed in this area. After that, again, my role in my career is to help folks connect the research to their practice. So we'll be doing just that. So we'll connect that research that I'll briefly give an overview of, and then we'll connect that to the professional practice that is relevant to you. So your grant work with I think she called it SPDIG. I like that, the SPDIG work. And we'll spend most of our time there trying to connect the research to practice. And then we'll end with some takeaways and feedback. So in order to attempt to create just a sense of community during this hour that we have, we're going to do an icebreaker called 2 Truths and a Wish. On the next slide, we'll talk more about what we'll do in our breakout rooms, but you'll be divided into groups about 5 or 6 and engage in this activity just to talk more about who's on the call. It seems like you all have already established relationships and you know each other, pretty well. So we're going to engage in this activity. For instance, the next slide gives you a little information about this 2 Truths and a Wish. So in your breakout rooms, you'll introduce yourself, share where you're calling in from, and then you'll share 2 truths and 1 wish about your career and your current role. So I've given you a bit of introduction about myself, but my 2 truths. So I've worked as an instructional coach in Qatar. So I've worked there for about 2 years as an instructional coach, training Qatari teachers in science, instructional strategies. I obtained my PhD here in Columbia, South Carolina, from the University of South Carolina, and my degree was in educational research and measurement. And as far as a wish, I'll share a work wish. My work wish is that, like, the organizations, the teams that I work with, they have the technical assistance, and I can provide that technical assistance that allow them to strategically learn and continuously improve their practice and really be able to speak to their impact. So there's an example of how it will work. And I believe Kelsey is going to put us in breakout rooms. We'll have about 1 minute per person to just kind of share out. We'll spend about 8 minutes in the breakout rooms and call you back. And hopefully I'm able to hop across breakout rooms.
Welcome back. All right. Did anyone learn something new about folks in SIG Network? Earl, did you learn anything new about other folks?
We had a camping theme in our room.
Oh, good. It does happen that way, right? Like you just end up going down a road. So what was something about camping that you all talked about?
We talked a lot about how we would take our kids camping and then how things shifted as we didn't have the kids with us anymore.
Oh, like
But
they
all
got
good, all
nicer?
in good ways. A little bit. Yeah, we just upgraded a hair. Yes.
We wanted a bed.
So the question does become, what is the operational definition of camping? But you know, whatever. Yeah, my husband,
That depends on your age.
there you go. There you go. Oh, good. We got another camper. So we should, I guess, folks could just camp in DC when you all come for the project directors conference. Save yourself some money. Do a little urban camping.
Can we go paddle boarding?
Yes, absolutely. I'll totally take you guys out. We've got 2, but I can borrow others. And
Just
we have
don't
a
get caught, right? Just don't get caught.
well, if it's not hot in July in DC, something has gone very
Okay.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, I'll turn it back to you, Janine. I just wanted to welcome everyone back into the room.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. So hopefully you all had a chance to share out. If not, we'll be in breakout rooms again, and we'll have some more time to engage with one another, and we'll be in rooms for a little longer the next time. But that was just something to break the ice and get us just acclimated to this community. We're going to start off with just a little polls, right? So I know that we're all here, we're all in education, in some form or fashion, but we may have different levels of familiarity with the topic of instructional coaching or the research around instructional coaching. So the poll question asks, how familiar are you with the research around instructional coaching? And you can just indicate your response in the chat. Either you can use the emoji or you can just use the text to just, let's see, how familiar are we? Okay. All right, so we're all kind of around, ranging from somewhat to very familiar, mostly. So, excuse me. So hopefully, as I stated at the beginning, we can dig into the research, but I think the real powerful work comes when we can take that research and connect it to our professional practice, to the work that we're doing every day. And so hopefully there will be something that you can extract from today's presentation that will help you in your work going forward. Okay, so what is the impact of instructional coaching on teacher practice? We're going to start off with what we know. What does the research say? And then in a little bit, we're going to talk about some of the things that we just don't know yet in the research base. But during this part, we'll talk about the impact of coaching on teacher practice, who makes an effective instructional coach, and what are coach actions that make them effective. And then we'll end this section just by talking about what instructional coaches need, because it's now all about what the coach gives to the teacher, but as coaching programs, those program managers, program directors need to have some sense of what coaches need to be successful in their work. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Okay, so this poll is going to come through the Zoom poll, but the question is about like the effectiveness of coaching. And based on these options, which of the following is true regarding the effectiveness of instructional coaching? So you have A, instructional coaching has been found to have no impact on student learning outcomes. The research, B, the research on instructional coaching is inconclusive and mixed, or C, the research shows that instructional coaching has a positive and direct impact on student learning. So let's see what comes in. All right. So there's some things that we have learned from the research, and what we'll see here, it's sort of like that is inconclusive, right? Like the answer is, oh, I guess I can share the results. I've never done this on poll before, so bear with me. So you can see the results. But the actual from the research, according to the research, there are some things that we just don't know about the impacts of instructional coaching. We do know that it does have a direct and positive effect on teachers in most cases, right? But there's some things we don't know. So we know that it does have a significant impact on teachers, practice, and indirectly on student outcomes. And the research shows that when we compare the impact of coaching on student outcomes, it's very comparable to other effective interventions that have been cited in the research. So interventions like reducing class size or high dose tutoring programs, coaching in most cases can be just as effective. The research also tells us that the effectiveness of instructional coaching is going to depend on many contextual factors that sometimes we just don't even have control over. So the type of coaching, we can control that. The grade level, the subject matter, all of these, we just don't know the impact of coaching because so many of those particular contexts can make the impact of coaching vary. So more research is needed to understand the influences of those contextual factors on the impact of coaching. While content specific coaching, so there's this question about the impact of coaching and whether coaching is going to be on specific content or is it going to be on pedagogy and the skills and instructional strategies. But research has shown that while content specific coaching that allows the coach and the teacher to deeply engage in the subject matter, it's been associated with positive outcomes for teacher practice. There is also evidence that research suggests that coaching that focuses on both general, agnostic content and pedagogy and content specific practices, they are likely to be more effective than just focusing on one or the other. So if you can combine coaching on pedagogy and coaching on content, it is found to be more effective than just focusing on one or the other. When it comes to in-person versus virtual coaching, I know this question came up a lot during school closings during the pandemic. I was actually part of a research study where we were trying to get at the impact of coaching for new teachers or teachers who were in their first 3 years of teaching. And so we scheduled all these in-person coaching sessions and had to just kind of like pivot hard during the pandemic. But according to the research, while in-person coaching is generally more effective than virtual coaching, the online virtual coaching is more effective than just not having any coaching at all. So we have found that in the research. So there's a question, like, and we've probably heard this in our careers or seen it, where some teachers are just resistant to coach, like they don't want to coach. And so they don't, and especially that one-on-one coaching. The research supports the use of coaching. It's an effective professional development learning experience. It develops teachers' instructional practice, but there's also a bucket of evidence that suggests that one-on-one coaching may not benefit all teachers. And if the teacher is not invested in the coaching, then the coaching is unlikely to impact their practice in a positive way. And in some of those cases, there's been evidence that shows that like other types of professional development that can integrate coaching could be effective. So cases of like group coaching, observing and reflecting on other teachers' practices, other individualized learning opportunities that could incorporate coaching as an element can be more effective, again, than just not having that coaching at all. So that is pretty much a synthesis of what the research is telling us now about the impact of instructional coaching. So, I know this is a lot. You don't have to necessarily write it all down. I think you're going to get the slides, and I have something for you at the end. So you don't have to jot everything down because it's a lot. Like I said, over 3 decades of research that has built up to this point. So let's talk about like what characteristics and skills make a coach effective. Excuse me. Like who makes an effective instructional coach, and what are the coach actions that they engage in that makes their coaching effective? So here we have another poll that we're going to launch. So which of the following traits and skills are associated with effective instructional coaches? You have A, a strong background in instructional design, B, the ability to build strong relationships with teachers, C, the willingness to impose strict performance standards on teachers. All right, looks like we've got almost everybody. So I'm gonna share the results. I hope I shared the results. Did I share the results? Did you see
It
anything?
popped on and then it went away.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay,
There you
well,
go.
we have like an overwhelming majority of people that chose B. And according to the research, A and B, like a strong background in instructional design and the ability to build strong relationships with teacher, are both related to effective instructional coaches.
So it's kind of a trick question.
Is
that what I'm hearing?
Trick question. There's going to be, well, I'm going to say obviously, there's more research. And personally, I've been engaged in research that wants to dig into and showed that relationships and the rapport that coaches build with teachers is very critical. And so we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So this is all according to the research base, the evidence base. Prioritizing intentional relationships and building that rapport with teachers has been critical in the research, and it's relating, or its association with improved teacher practice. I was saying I was part of a research study within TNTP this time, where we were again doing this, like this was a series of research studies. And the one that was published in the Ed Workings paper on the in the introduction was part of this years-long research series that we were doing to really try to understand the impact of the coaching that we were doing. But every single year, and we're talking over 3 years of research, every single year, our data showed that the most important quality that at least teachers felt contributed to their improved practice was that coaches' ability to build relationships. So that, this was survey data. There's no causal claims here, but it's overwhelming every year, very consistent that was named as the most important element of the coaching, the ability to build relationships first. And we see that in the classrooms. That's important for students. So the need to establish, coaches need to establish rapport and trust with teachers, and that's done through collaboration and respecting the teacher's opinions and respecting the teacher's entry point to coaching. Those have all been named as indicators of what does it mean to establish rapport? What does it mean to build relationships? But those are indicators that have been named. Using modeling. So this is connected to A in the poll, that instructional strategies, having a strong background in instructional design and delivery is important for a coach, because modeling and being able to provide feedback is key to effective coaching. So using modeling, engaging in observation and feedback cycles, supporting the teacher in reflecting on their own practice and how to improve that practice. Those have all been named as far as skills of an effective coach. Another characteristic of an effective instructional coach is just using data-driven coaching experiences. So collecting data through observation, using that data to provide feedback, using that data to plan with teachers and improve their instruction, ensuring that the coaching experience has clear aims. So we're setting goals, we are in objectives and indicators, and we're collecting data on those indicators, and we're incorporating formative assessment, we're measuring progress. So all of that's a data-driven coaching experience, and those practices have been associated with effective instructional coaching. Being able to really stay engaged with the teacher and provide positive, timely, and guidance-based feedback, and using appropriate mechanisms depending on the context. And that's one of those places where we don't know the best mode of coaching yet. And so using the appropriate mechanisms, whether it's written in the note or it's feedback is given in email or via text, or how often that feedback needs to be given. If it's incorporating video libraries, whatever the mechanism is, should be appropriate to the context. But the important piece in that is that feedback is coming and it's timely, and teachers are able to incorporate that into their instructional practice. So just one additional note to consider, it's not here on the slide, but just as we think about these contextual factors that facilitate impactful coaching, when developing coaching programs, there's a need to consider like the baseline teacher skills, like teacher coach ratios, the components of the coaching model to ensure effectiveness. And their research is not helpful in those areas, but there's still areas to consider. We know coaching is more effective when teachers have a moderate baseline and they're paired with a coach who is, again, relatively strong in instructional design and delivery, and is able to build skills and build relationships. Okay, so the effectiveness of the coach, it really varies depending on who the coach is. So, and this again is contextual, but it depending on the years of variance, the gender, the race, ethnicity, there's very limited evidence in the research space that says these things could impact teacher practice. There's no causal evidence, but there is limited evidence, like correlational evidence, that these factors do matter.
Janine, can I just ask a clarifying question? So when you say limited evidence, you mean there is some evidence?
There's some evidence,
Okay.
right? There's some
Yeah.
like investigations have been done into this, and there's some evidence that, but we can't like make a causal claim that those things are gonna always matter in certain situations.
And that's included in your working paper, right? I think
Yes,
there's some information on that.
there's information on this and on race, ethnicity, and certain indicators that don't match or don't have a causal impact. But I also provide some citations that cover everything that I'm
Great, thanks.
presenting here. So you should be able to get that. What was it? So again, the value of coaching is going to largely depend on the quality of the coach that's assigned to teachers. There's limited evidence on this. And when you look at number 2, we're just getting like, and this is the paper that Jennifer was alluding to, we're seeing that there's some evidence to show that when Black teachers are paired with a Black coach, that the impact on their instructional improvement was much greater than if there was like just a random matching of coaching. And it was that coach match impact was more evident for teachers of color. And so that was just something that came up in our research. And it's kind of an aligned to that research about teacher-student match and how that matching is more positive for students of color. So it's something interesting. This is an emerging area in the research. There are no like causal final, like this is it, this is a thing that we can say for sure in all situations. Again, it's like correlation, not causal. Okay, so we
Would it,
spent-
Janine, is
oh,
it okay if we
sorry.
take 1 second? Because it's just
Mhm.
been such good information. And because everyone here thinks a lot about coaching, I'd be interested in just getting a temperature check. So has there been anything folks have heard so far that surprised you? That you didn't expect from your coaching experience and what you've read in the literature? Okay, so I guess there's no surprises. But Janine, it's funny. It was funny because when you said it's like teacher student relationships, that's exactly what I had been thinking, that
Mhm.
most of what you've said so far is true for teachers and students too, right?
Yeah, I wish
So-
so many people thought like that. Like it's the same. Like like it's human. Like humans need certain things, whether they're 5, like my 5-year-old downstairs, or me, right? So
Mhm.
we need certain things, but again, context matters. So
And we had one comment just to share with
oh.
you. There are no surprises on this end, very similar to the instructional consultation literature, which I think is more the school psychology. Stacey, you can tell me if I'm wrong there, but
Okay,
typically,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah,
You're
like
right, Jennifer. It's the school
humans
psych literature.
Thanks.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so what do coaches need in order to be positioned to do a good job and like to do well and make the most impact on teacher practice? Okay, this is our final poll, y'all. Okay, so which of the following types of professional development is most valuable for instructional coaches? training on specific coaching techniques and strategies, opportunities to observe other coaches and provide feedback, professional development on the content knowledge and subject areas that they support.
That's a hard one. I'll be interested to see. Can we, 'cause there was a question, can we say A and B? Can you choose more than one? I don't think so, right?
I'm not sure if
I know.
Kelsey,
I already
Kelsey, did
answered, I
you,
don't know.
okay. Can people choose more than one?
I think so.
Not in this one. In this one,
Okay.
it's one
All right.
choice only one.
Okay, we can end it. And so there's mixed results. So maybe if I hold it down, will it?
There, it's shown up.
Okay, so that took. So there's a mix of responses, and that actually aligned with the research. Like all of the above, coaches need it all. Like I appreciate, Jennifer, your comment, because what we'll find in the research is that coaches do need the same things that teachers need, learners. So it's about teaching and learning. And so learners, the path of learning, and we're all familiar with like learning theory. There are certain things that, we just need as learners. And the context, of course, is going to matter. But coaches need appropriate pedagogical content knowledge and content expertise. They need to know how to work with people to support teachers effectively. They need professional learning experience that should reflect the characteristics of professional development. So there's a whole bucket of research out there on what makes professional development effective, and coaches need the same. As we're developing coaches, that's professional development for them. It should include ongoing learning opportunities. It should include data-driven approaches. It should include collaboration. It should include reflection and feedback. So there are things that we still don't know about coaching. We don't know the optimal teacher-coach ratio for coaching. There's limited research on that topic. We don't know the long-term impact of coaching on teacher practice and student learning. Most of the studies that are included in the literature are really short-term focused. We don't know the effectiveness of coaching across subject areas, grade levels. The majority of the coaching research has been done in math and literacy and has been done in elementary schools. So there's still work to be done there. We don't know the most effective coaching models for different contexts, whether it's urban versus rural. I was in the breakout with from Michigan. I don't remember her name, but I remember
Kim St. Martin.
Michigan. Yep. So whether it's an urban or rural schools, high versus low performance schools, there's just limited research comparing coaching models across different settings. We don't know the impact of coaching on teacher well-being and job satisfaction. We may have some anecdotal, like I have anecdotal evidence from research that I've been involved in, but most rigorous studies have only focused on like teacher instructional practice and teacher outcomes. So here you go. If you, again, you'll have the slide shared with you, but if you want just a summary, like a one-pager or it's actually two pagers, of the research, like just the key points that I shared with some open access citations, you can click on this QR code and access the downloadable version of the research. I'll give you just a few seconds to do that.
Janine, that is so generous of you. Thank you so much. That's I mean, for coaching nerds, like I'm going to call myself and everyone else here, most likely, this is very exciting.
And I'll share this again towards the end. Okay. So let's start making some connections, because that's where the power is. Like when we can take the research and connect it to our professional practice and really integrate some of the learnings from the research into the work that we're doing. That's where the innovation and the improvements happen. So as far as I understand, there are 3 frameworks that I've been introduced to related to the SPDIG grant work. So we're gonna try to connect the research to practice through the lens of 3 elements of grant work, like the program design, the program implementation, and then the program evaluation. Okay, we're going to go into another set of breakout rooms where you're going to apply this research to the grant work. And so you're going to use a Padlet link that will be shared in the, I wonder if I can share it. It will be shared in the chat.
Mhm.
I can do this. And so you're going to brainstorm ways to connect this research to your grant work. Like, what would you need to consider when you are in the program design phase or in the implementation phase or the evaluation phase when it comes to integrating this research into the work? Let's see. Here's the link. We're going to spend about 15 minutes in the breakout rooms, and I might just pop in to just kind of be a fly on the wall for like 5 minutes or a couple minutes in each one. I don't know how many breakout rooms they're going to be. Can you check that and make sure that that link is working
Sure.
for everyone?
Yeah, I'll check it right now. It's taking a minute on my computer, but it looks promising so far.
Okay, promising is good.
Yeah.
Is it working? Okay, it's working. Thank
Okay,
you
good.
for that validation. I'm going to stop sharing, and again, we'll be in breakout rooms for about 15 minutes before we come back and like bring it all together and wrap up. Sound good?
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, here we go. All right, so again, I tried to jump around and get to each room, but I was hearing really great things that fit into each of the buckets. So I heard implications for program design. Some of the things I heard were like thinking about how we're developing coaching models that make sure we incorporate best practices when developing coaching models, or when we're bringing in consultants or contractors, then ensure that they are understanding the best practices that your organization or your state has adopted to ensure that there's alignment between their services and the best practices you all have adopted. And under the implementation, one of the mentions in the breakout rooms were just like ensuring that during implementation, there's ongoing coaching and that the follow-up piece is necessary, which kind of also connects to program managers, because if you have that initial coach touch point, and then you're trying to design for ongoing coaching, that's going to have implications for spending, and there are spending targets assigned to like some of the program measures. So all of those are connected. I also heard about how to capture the knowledge and skills of coaches, and considering that there can be a variety of ways that we do that. So thank you for the engagement and the conversation. It was good to hop around. I'm showing this QR code again because at the bottom of the takeaway that you'll get, there's a link to that Padlet. So you should have access to that Padlet. My hope was that this was a collaborative experience and that all of the rooms were like adding to that Padlet so that when you leave the webinar, you'll have the research, you'll have the citations, but you'll also have the thoughts and the considerations that were shared by your colleagues here today. So I would love feedback. There's an evaluation link in the chat, or there will be. And that here. So if you link to that form, I would love the feedback to know how I can improve this. You know, if I talk about instructional coaching again, or whatever other topic I am delivering, would love the feedback. I enjoyed this. This was fun. I love this group. It could tell you all have been working together for a while as a unit. So I'm Janine Blue, and that's all I have. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Janine. And question for the group. I just tried to connect with the forums, and it's very possible it's the US government firewall, but can other folks get to the evaluation form? Yes, okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah, ours, you know, I've got more protections than the usual here, so I'm glad that works. So I just want to read the comment so that you were fantastic and love the opportunity to learn from you.
Thank
I
you
mean,
so much. Thank you.
I don't think Janine fully understands the fact that we're all still here on the day before APRs are due is pretty significant.
Yeah, we've engaged in our own share of those mad dashes to getting APR submitted. And it always goes to the end, like the last minute. So I understand. Good luck, everyone, on your submissions.
Thank you, Janine. It was so nice meeting you and working with you. I hope this is the beginning of a long, ongoing partnership.
I would love that. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Take care. Take
Bye.
care. All right. So you know I'm not going to keep you much longer because you were very, it was great to have you for as long as I did. Concrete was the principle today, the success principle that we were going to talk about. And just quickly before you go, consider this your exit ticket. What about Janine's presentation was concrete? And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so I don't have to see my big face. Oh, no. There we go. So what about her presentation was concrete today in our success model? Research application, research, summary of the research, exactly, like connecting that so you have something to walk away with. I love I know I said this before, but I love the QR code and the fact that it has the Padlet with the notes of what we talked about. And she connected it with our work, right? She looked at the evidence-based professional development, she looked at that, so which was like extra credit. I was very impressed. Examples of the SPDIC, making connections, great. Well, good. So that's it. Exit ticket done. Good luck on APRs. Sorry, this is the night before. I apologize for that. Next month, we'll hear from Melanie Upright. She's going to talk about teams and coaching. And so if you have questions related to that, send them my way. But otherwise, it's great to see you. Have a good afternoon, and we'll see you soon.